Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Today, I will present the introduction and background of Transparency International Malaysia or TIM. Firstly, non-profit organisations focus on serving society instead of making profit. They rely on donation, grant and other funding sources to carry out their activities. Therefore, good financial management is important to ensure their resources and used effectively. Transparency International Malaysia or TIM was established on 24 December 1998. This is the Malaysian chapter of Transparency International. Its main goal is to fight corruption and promote transparency, accountability and integrity in Malaysia. The vision of TIM is to achieve a corruption-free Malaysia where integrity is practiced in the sector. Its mission is to combat the corruption through advocacy, education, research and collaboration with different stakeholders. TIM also carries out various activities such as conducting research, organising workshops and public awareness programs, engaging the policymakers and promoting good governance. Overall, TIM plays an important role in building a more transparency and accountability society. Through its effort, the organisation helps strengthen public trust and support good governance in Malaysia.
I will present the statement of income and expenditure for non-profit organisation by comparing the financial performance in 2025 and 2024. Statement of comprehensive income. First, look at the income. The organization's main source of income was grant income. It decreased significantly from around 1.7 million ringgit in 2024 to around 344,000 ringgit in 2025. However, membership fees increased to around 89,000 ringgit and training income also increased to 15,000 ringgit. Others income remained almost the same. Overall, total income dropped from around 1.8 million ringgit to around 460,000 ringgit, mainly because of the reduction in grant income. Next, the organisation recorded administrative expenses of around 493,000 ringgit. Although expenses were lower than in 2024, they were still higher than the total income. As a result, the organisation reported a net deficit of around 33,000 ringgit in 2025 compared to a surplus of around 197,000 ringgit in 2024. The organisation still depends mainly on grant funding. Even though membership fees and training income increased, they could not replace the large decrease in grant income. The largest expense was staff salaries, followed by program expense. Other costs include EPF and SOCSO, accounting fees, office rental, and AGM expense. In conclusion, the organization's financial performance weakened in 2025 because of the significant decline in grant income. Therefore, the organization should continue finding more stable income source while managing its expenses carefully.
Now, I will explain discussion of the financial statement of this non-profit organization. There are three parts that I will discuss, which is the statement of financial position, the statement of income and expenditure, and the breakdown of major operating expenses. First, let's look at the statement of financial position. As you can see on the screen, the total asset increased from 554,512 ringgit in 2024 and 614,446 in 2025. This happened because current assets such as cash and bank deposit increased a lot. This means the organisation had more cash available during the year. However, non-current assets decreased slightly because of the depreciation on office equipment and furniture. Next, equity also decreased because the organisation recorded a deficit in 2025. At the same time, current liabilities increased. This was mainly because the organisation received new grant funds that had not been used yet. Overall, the organisation had more assets, but it also had higher liabilities and lower equity than last year. Now, let's move to the statement of income and expenditure. In 2025, the organisation faced a difficult financial year. Its total income dropped from 1.8 million ringgit to 460,371 ringgit. The main reason was a large decrease in grant income. To deal with this situation, the organisation reduced its operating expenses. Even though expenses were lower than last year, they were still higher than the total income. Because of this, the organisation recorded a net deficit of 32,907 ringgit while in 2024 it had a net surplus of 196,975 ringgit. This shows that 2025 was a challenging year financially. Then, let's look at the major operating expenses. The biggest expense was staff salaries, which made up 39.8% of the total expenses. The second largest expense was program and project expenses at 28.8%. The organisation also spent money on accounting and audit fees, EPF and SOCSO, office rental and other expenses such as printing and utilities. From these figures, we can see that most of the budget was used to support employees and run the organization's programs.
Next, I will explain the financial performance and financial position of Transparent International Malaysia or TIM for the year 2025. Overall, 2025 was a challenging year for the organization. TIM experienced a significant decline in income compared to previous year, mainly because it received less project funding from external donors. As a result, the organization has had to operate with more limited financial resources. To manage this tension, TIM reduced its spending on projects and programs. However, some essential operating costs, such as staff salaries and administrative expenses, still had to be maintained because total expenses were slightly higher than total income. The organization recorded a small deficit for the year. Despite this setback, TIM financial position remains strong and stable. The organization total asset increased to more than 300 ringgit, with most of these assets held in cash and fixed deposit. This is a positive sign because it means the organization has strong liquidity and can easily meet its financial obligations when needed. Lastly, the liability report by TIM do not represent a large commercial debit. Most of them consist of grant funds that have already been received for future projects that have not yet been carried out. This indicates that donors continue to replace trust in organization and support it come out competitive.
In conclusion, Transparency International Malaysia faced financial challenges in 2025 because of lower grant income. As a result, the organization recorded a small deficit. However, TIM still having a strong financial position with healthy cash reserve and good financial management. This shows that the organization can continue its mission to promote transparency, accountability, and integrity in Malaysia.